All right, thank you guys. The Phillies take on the Nationals, 7:05 Eastern first pitch in D.C. The Philadelphia Phillies are minus 135 on the road, totals 8.5 juice to the under. The Nationals are plus $1.15 on the money line. And if you like them on the run line, they're minus 140, catching the 1.5. John Lester is the expected starter on the mound for Washington. Zach Wheeler for the Phils. Before we go ahead and move on here, I just want to take a quick timeout and welcome you to our Major League Baseball video here today for Wednesday, May 12th. Happy hump day to you. The weekend's right around the corner. My name is Brock Page, and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. And if you want to see which one of these YouTube picks I'm actually betting on personally here today, don't forget to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. Now, we're coming fresh off a winning day on my Patreon page yesterday. We're now 3-0 with a push in our last 4 board member tier package picks on that Patreon site. We're also hitting at over 68% our last 19 extra daily pick tier package plays on that Patreon site as well. And if you want to access today's extra daily pick, it's only going to cost you just $2.99. And we currently have over 1,150 members who are signed up and active on that page. And if you want to join those folks and get in on the action, link for that site is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. And despite some really good stuff from Zach Wheeler this season, the Phillies have been terrible on the road. Winners of just 6 out of 17 road games, 3.9 runs a game they're averaging when they bat first. They're taking on a Washington club who still ranks in the top 3 in fewest hits allowed per contest, despite their struggles. Big John Lester comes into today's start with a 2.70 ERA after 10 innings of work. When it comes to the total on this one, Washington is 12-5 to the under at Nationals Park. They're also 21-10 to the under for the entire season. Meanwhile, 3 out of the Phillies' last 5 ball games stayed under the total of 8.5 runs themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Washington Nationals plus $1.15 in the under 8.5. Next ball game, Yankees, Rays, 7:10 Eastern start time. The New York Yankees are minus 195, numbers 7 juice to the over. Garrett Cole for the Yankees, Colin McHugh for Tampa. And McHugh comes into today's matchup with a 7.36 ERA and a 1.77 whip. The Rays have also lost 3 out of their last 4. And they currently have a losing home record at just 7-11. Now, this Rays lineup strikes out more than any other team in the majors. They're fanning at the plate 10.5 times a game. They also rank dead last in the bigs in home scoring. The Yankees, on the other side, they've battled back to a winning road record themselves. They're currently on a 3-game winning streak. And in addition to that, they've gotten the W in 10 out of their last 13 ball games as well. Now, this Yankee pitching staff walks the fewest batters per game than any other team in the league, certainly has great control, not a whole lot of free passes these guys are giving up. They're also in the top 3 in the league in strikeouts, as they're allowing just 3.6 runs a game when they travel. Now, total-wise, New York's 10-5 to the under when they bat first, 22-13 to the under for the entire season. Meanwhile, the Rays are 11-7 to the under at the Trop. I'm going to lean toward the New York Yankees minus 1.5 and the under 7 runs in the tight window. Next ball game, it is going to be Oakland versus Boston, 7:10 Eastern first pitch. The Boston Red Sox are minus 155, numbers 9.5 juice to the under. Eduardo Rodriguez for the Sox, James Kaprielian for Oakland. Now, Kaprielian makes his major league debut here tonight. Maybe it'll give this club a little spark, as they're currently in the bottom 5 in the league in hits on average per contest. And, well, unfortunately for the young fella, this is one of those games where you're probably going to have to, outscore your opponent, because we're looking at a Boston club who leads the majors in hits, and they also rank in the top 3 in the majors in scoring on average per contest. Now, the Red Sox are currently in first place in the AL East, and they're led by J.D. Martinez, who's currently batting .331 with 10 homers and 32 RBI. And as a matter of fact, Martinez is leading the big leagues in RBI And he's also fourth in the majors with a 1.047 OPS. So Martinez absolutely ripping the cover off the ball. Meanwhile, Xander Bogaerts, no real surprise here. He's batting .395 with 7 homers and 78 total bases. Bogaerts is in the top 5 in the league in batting average. Now, total-wise, oddly enough, Boston's last three straight ball games did stay under the total of 9.5 runs. Oakland's officially 9-4 to the under as the road team. So I'm going to lean toward the Boston Red Sox -155 and the under 9.5. Next ball game, it is going to be Royals versus the Tigers, 7:10 p.m. East. The Kansas City Royals are -150, totals 8. Danny Duffy for Kansas City, Casey Mize for Detroit. Now, Mize is just 1-3 with a 4.41 ERA and a 1.35 WHIP. The righty has also walked 14 batters in just over 32 innings of work. Detroit still has the worst record in the major leagues at just 11-24. They're also dead last in scoring on average per contest, bottom 3 in hits on average per game. Now they're taking on a Kansas City squad who still got themselves a winning road record thus far in the season, despite their recent struggles. Danny Duffy's also taking the mound here today. He's been really good. 4-2 record with a 1.26 ERA. He's also punched out 40 batters in just over 35 innings pitched. He's currently got a 1.07 WHIP. Now when it comes to the scoring in this one, the Royals are 9-5 to the under as the road team. Detroit's 10-6 to the under at Comerica Park. I'm going to lean toward the Kansas City Royals -150 and the under 8 runs. Next ball game, Blue Jays versus the Braves, 7:20 Eastern start time. Atlanta's -120, total 7.5. Max Fried for the Braves, Hyun-Jin Ryu for Toronto. Now Ryu's shown some good stuff this season, 3.31 ERA and a 1.10 WHIP. He's also punched out 32 batters in just over 32 innings of work. Toronto's won 4 out of their last 6 ball games, and they're in the top 10 in fewest runs allowed away from home. They're taking on an Atlanta squad who's got a losing record thus far in the season, and their pitching staff also ranks in the bottom 3 in runs allowed at home. Max Fried has been kind of like a shell of himself this year, 8.44 ERA, 2.06 WHIP. And when it comes to the number in this one, Atlanta's 14-4 to the over at Truist Park, 20-15 to the over for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward the Toronto Blue Jays +105 and the over 7.5. Next ball game, it is going to be Cardinals versus the Brewers, 7:40 Eastern first pitch. The Milwaukee Brewers are -180, total 7.5. Brandon Woodruff for Milwaukee, John Gant for St. Louis. Despite some control issues here for Gant, it actually seems to be like keeping hitters off balance. The righty comes into today's start with a 2.15 ERA. And these St. Louis Cardinals continue to roll in first place in the NL Central. They're currently 22-14. They find themselves 3 games ahead of Milwaukee in the standings. Now, this Cardinals pitching staff is in the top 3 in the league in fewest hits allowed on the road. And that's certainly not going to bode well for this Milwaukee lineup, as they're in the bottom 3 in scoring on average per game. Now, the Brewers are also striking out 10.3 times a game at the plate. Milwaukee's dropped 7 out of their last 9 ball games, and they currently have a losing record at home. Now, total-wise, the Brewers are 11-6 to the over as the home team. St. Louis is 10-6 to the over when they bat first. I'm going to lean toward the underdog St. Louis Cardinals +1.5 and the over 7.5 runs. Next matchup, it is going to be Twins versus the White Sox, 8:10 Eastern Standard Time. The Chicago White Sox are -140, numbers 8 juice to the under. Dallas Keuchel for the White Sox, Jay Happ for the Twins. But as good as Happ's looked this year, the Twins are currently just 1 win better than the last place Detroit Tigers in the division. As a matter of fact, the Detroit Tigers have the worst record in the majors. So Minnesota not in great company, in the bottom there. As a matter of fact, Minnesota's currently 12-21 straight up for the season, and they've gotten the W in just 6 out of 16 road games. The Twins lineup is also striking out 10.1 times a game when they travel. Now they're taking on a Chicago club who's atop the NL Central in first place. They're 20-13 overall for the season, 10-6 straight up at Guaranteed Rate Field. This White Sox lineup leads the majors in scoring, top 5 in hits. Yermin Mercedes, he's batting .381 with 63 total bases and a 1.020 OPS. Meanwhile, Timmy Anderson's batting .301 with 31 total hits and 20 runs scored. They also have Dallas Keuchel on the bump here today, who's got a .379 ERA. And when it comes to the total in this one, Chicago's last 3 straight all got over the total of 8 runs. Minnesota's 12-4 to the over when they travel. I'm going to lean toward the Chicago White Sox -140 in the over 8 runs. Next ball game, Angels, Astros, 8:10 Eastern start time. The Houston Astros are -$1.25, totals 8.5. Jose Urquidy for the Astros, Andrew Heaney for Los Angeles. Now, Heaney's 1-2 with a .411 ERA. The Angels have lost 7 out of their last 10 ball games, and their pitching staff's dead last in the majors in runs allowed. They're taking on a Houston club who's 4-2 straight up in their last 6, and they rank in the top 10 in the majors in fewest runs allowed. Jose Urquidy's 3-2 with a .351 ERA and a 1.07 WHIP. When it comes to the total in this one, the Astros are 21-15 to the over for the entire year. The Angels are also 20-15 to the over themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Houston Astros -$1.25 in the over 8.5. Next contest, Marlins, Diamondbacks, 9:40 Eastern first pitch. The Arizona Diamondbacks are -175, totals 8 runs. Zach Gallen for Arizona looks like Nick Neidert for Miami. Now, Neidert's got a .675 ERA and a 2.00 WHIP. The righties walked 11 batters compared to just 8 strikeouts. The Marlins are currently on a 4-game losing streak. They've gotten the W in just 7 of 18 road games. They're currently in the bottom 10 in the league in scoring on average per contest, and they're striking out 10.4 times a game. They're taking on a D-back squad who's 8-5 straight up as the home team. They successfully cashed in on the run line in over 69% of those home games. Now, the D-backs are currently leading the majors in home hits. And they're also in the top 3 in home scoring. As Drupal Cabrera, he's batting .290 with 19 walks and 18 RBI. Meanwhile, catcher Carson Kelly, he's batting .333 himself with an OPS of 1.097. Now, total-wise, 9 out of Arizona's 13 home games got over the line. Miami's 11-7 to the over on the road. I'm going to lean toward the Arizona D-backs -175 and the over 8 runs. With that, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup of the show. It is going to be Mariners versus the Dodgers, 10:10 Eastern start time. The LA Dodgers are -250, totals 8. Julio Urias for the Dodgers, Justin Dunn for Seattle. Now, Dunn's got himself a .351 ERA through nearly 26 innings of work. The Mariners are also cashing in on the run line in over 63% of their road games. They're taking on a Dodger team who lost 7 out of their last 10 ball games. This Dodger lineup is also in the bottom 5 in the majors in home strikeouts at the plate. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the underdog Seattle Mariners +1.5 and the under 8 runs. With that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind Patreon's going to bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.